Hey everybody, how we doing? Bright up here. Tough one to follow. Shout out to Will and the Lido team. Also shout out to Staking Rewards team. I remember the first one that was in Lisbon. This might be the fourth or fifth one now. And excited to see that there's a big enough crowd to come out to have these multiple times per year. So today, some of you might be familiar with Obol, some of you might be new to Obol, but specifically given where things are at in the staking space, but also the adoption trends of blockchain, I'll talk a little bit about Obol for institutions, how we're seeing the institutional space, how we're viewing it, and what we're learning from it. And I'll also be able to share some cool announcements with you all today that we've been waiting to share. With that, let's get started. Okay, so to start and frame things a little bit, we'll talk a bit about the history of staking. And in 2020, we launched Genesis, and the goal of Genesis was to stake around 500,000 ETH. And at that point, the network started and things began. The majority of this ETH was actually staked by individuals, at-home validators, and not necessarily institutions at all. And then in 2021, shortly thereafter, LSTs and liquid staking pools were invented, led by Lido and now by a variety of different parties. And you can think of this as the second step function of staking in Ethereum and the broader staking trends across all blockchain networks. Our third chapter of staking was our restaking chapter, which we're still, I would say, in the middle of, and probably I expect to see a whole new wave of innovation come out of restaking as it's coming out of its initial bootstrapping event. Following that, we've now been fortunate enough, due to regulatory clarity, to have ETFs now enter the blockchain space. First with the Bitcoin ETF, and then secondarily with the ETH ETF, and that really was the close of the year last year. Now to kick off 2025, there's been a lot of discussions around staked Ether ETFs, and the preliminary approval of those has actually been pushed back, and it gives all of us a bit more time to have deeper discussions about the standards, the infrastructure tools, the requirements, and what are the best setups for these staked ETFs. And my last commentary here would be, we should all think of staking as, in 2025, entering its last step function. The purpose of Genesis, the purpose of LSTs, the purpose of restaking, they have all paved the way for institutions to want to adopt staking technologies and want to earn perpetual yield, which is a very important mechanism in the traditional financial industry, as perpetual yield is actually the king of them all. Okay, so in the backdrop of this, on the network side, maybe some of you have heard about Pectra, and maybe some of you are running nodes and you've recently started to prepare for the migration of Pectra to take place on May 7th. There are some characteristics of this upgrade that are institutional friendly. One of them is that it enables a decrease in infrastructure cost. So people can stack 2048 validators, it decreases the amount of machines that you need, it decreases the technical overhead that you have, and also enables a path for most of the initial stake in the network to migrate to better, more secure, modernized infrastructure. The other piece of this that's quite interesting and probably not talked about enough is that it enables auto-compounding of your yield that you earn. And I believe it was Warren Buffett, but he said that the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. So compound interest plus perpetual yield, these are mechanisms that will drive tons and tons of value inside of the institutional market, and something to watch out for as these things get adopted. Institutions require the highest standards for their staking infrastructure. Specific areas where people focus on a lot have been diversity of core pillars. And the core pillars are hardware machines, cloud providers, data centers, consensus execution, validator clients, and geography, where these machines are located. And ultimately, institutions are held to the highest standard of diversity. I would say, from my experience personally, projects like Lido and EtherFi have taken the biggest steps to begin to take on these standards and adopt them, which is why both of them are users of DVT. The next area that's really important for institutions is that they can't be participating necessarily in broader networks that aren't necessarily private. So a DB cluster can enable a private environment where the different node operators inside of it have a direct connection to each other. And ultimately, the last piece here is that all yield and staking today is looked at without a risk-adjusted perspective. So as we get deeper into the institutional adoption of these things, it won't just be what is the base yield. It will be what is the risk-adjusted yield that you are earning. And where the risk comes from will be across these top bullet points here. I just wanted to use the laser, sorry. Okay, so over time, we have spent a lot of our early history with at-home validators, liquid staking, restaking, but we've also been fortunate enough to be included in a lot of the earlier discussions around institutional staking. This has come place through Proof of Stake Alliance, this has come place through the Liquid Collective, and also being a founding member of an effort called NORS, which is a node operator risk standard. And now POSA has recently transformed into the Crypto Council for Innovation, which is actually now directly plugged in with the SEC and the government bodies in the US. So today I'm happy to announce that a couple partnerships that we've been working on over the past few months. Bitcoin Swiss is our newest user of Obol DVs and a leader in institutional custody and staking. I would say that they probably have the highest security standards of anybody that we've worked with. And specifically what they've been focused on is key security, fault tolerance, and the operational reliability that DBT can bring them and their institutional clients. In addition to that, I'm also happy to announce that we are also extending our relationships with Blockdaemon and rolling out DVs in their operator products in a variety of different capacities. Most recently, you've seen Blockdaemon work with Obol and the EtherVi validator set, and now you'll begin to see them work with the Liquid Collective. You'll also begin to see us offer products directly to users through their core staking offering. In addition to Bitcoin Swiss, Blockdaemon's also been very interested in similar components of DBT, which tie closely to what their requirements are: key security, independent cluster architecture, operational reliability, and ultimately using DBT to eliminate slashing risk. I kept this short and sweet for everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. And I'll leave you with this last slide. As we enter this next chapter of staking, we'd love to bring Obol out as the new standard. Thank you so much.